Hi and welcome to Knit All the Things. My name is Laurel. I'm also known as West Maven on Instagram, Ravelry, and here. If you're new, welcome. This is a space where I talk about all the things I'm knitting, all the things I want to knit, all things yarn, just all the things. If you're returning, so happy that you could join me again. Let's get cozy. Today I'm going to be talking about my Monday sweater. I have an update on the Ferda Genser behind me and a new cast on. So let's get right into it. If you've been following this podcast, you may recognize this sweater. This is my Monday sweater. The pattern is by Petite Knit, and I just finished it, blocked it maybe a couple of days ago, and here we are. So let's talk about this sweater. I knit this using Voolenvine yarns in her Nouveau and Ghostlace base. And as you can see, it's got some speckling, and yeah, I absolutely love the color. I did not alternate skeins, although I thought about it. It didn't seem like I had any major pooling, which is where the dye kind of, when you're knitting, maybe you'll see like you have spots or lines or something, and it pretty much is even throughout. Here's a couple of things that happened. When I went to block this sweater, I basically encountered every knitter's worst nightmare. I basically turn on the water, get all the soap in there, fill it up most of the way, and then I submerge the sweater and start kind of tapping it down while the water is continuing to finish filling so that I have a little bit more water and making sure that it's all the way under the water. When I was like patting it down and it was still filling up, the water started turning brown or red-ish brown, and I am guessing it's from the speckles within this yarn. I panicked because I thought, okay, I just spent all this time making this sweater and now it's something weird is happening. But I grabbed a couple color catchers, which you can buy on Amazon, probably in your grocery store. And essentially what they do is when you're washing an item, you put these in with them and it will absorb any extra dye floating around. And this isn't like 100% guaranteed, but it helps. So let's say you just bought a brand new red sweatshirt and you threw it in your laundry with white, which I don't know why you would, but let's pretend you did. You could put a color catcher in there and it would hopefully kind of absorb any of that red that might come off of that garment so that you don't have pink t-shirts. So back to this sweater. When I noticed that it was starting, the water was starting to change colors, which I'm actually glad that I was standing there kind of submerging it and it happened right then, because I grabbed a few color catchers and put it in with it and just kind of hoped for the best. What basically happened was the dye, I think in the red speckles, seemed to have faded. I think that's what was actually kind of changing the watercolor, but it didn't seem to like really re-soak back into the sweater so much. So when I went to take it out, I didn't really notice any dye transferred back onto the garment. I would say it was more just coming off, if that makes sense. So, which is fine. Again, I'm not complaining at all. I love how this sweater turned out, but I think that's just what happened. I think it was for the best because I feel like this sweater now, it doesn't have the line. I do think you can see like right here is a little bit different. But I think when you're wearing it, it won't be something you notice. And also the lighting that I'm in, I think is kind of making it look more strongly a different color. But I do really, really love how this fits. It has a long hem that's in 1x1 ribbing. And then it also has cuffs that are in 1x1 ribbing. And it has a rolled collar. For the rolled collar, I believe you knit and then you just like grab that stitch as you're knitting it down. So you're not really like having to tack it down, which I prefer. And then you do end up doing some short rows at the beginning after you do your collar, and then you go into the raglan. So that is kind of how it is knit up. Because I typically always feel like I get hand fatigue more with purling, that I thought I would try something new this time. So I knit the arms down to where you would start your cuff, and I used a 16-inch circular for that. Normally I would switch to magic loop, and you could also do DPNs, double pointed needles, but I thought I would try something completely new to me, and so I ended up doing a 9-inch circular for the cuff. And I will tell you, I absolutely loved that. I think I would do it again for sure. I really, really love how I feel like it was easier on my hands. There's no laddering or anything. So I really think it turned out really nicely, and I would 100% do it again on a cuff. And I feel like the 9-inch circular is enough, especially on an adult sweater, that should be fine. I absolutely love it. I would definitely knit it the same way again on the 9-inch circulars. I'm so happy that it didn't like turn the sweater brown or anything. I do think it made it really nice. Also, if you're hearing excess noise, hopefully I can cut it out a little bit, but my dogs are kind of roaming as they do. So if you're hearing something, that's what the sound is. Sometimes it's nice to know. Today, I live in Portland, Oregon, and it's a little overcast, but for a tiny bit of time, it was like 65 degrees outside, and I thought, okay, that might be less comfortable wearing the sweater, but it has since gotten cloudy again, and it's not warm anymore. So just wait 10 minutes, the weather will change. Anyway, that is my Monday sweater by Petite Knit. I absolutely love how it turned out. So I have a few works in progress right now. The one behind me I will talk about in a second, and I'm going to also try it on for you, so I will do that in a little bit. This is always like blows out my lighting a little. This is my Ferda Genser. It is a pattern by Anna and Heidi Pickles, and it is knit using my 2021 Advent calendar by Sweetnesting. If you were watching this podcast in the month of April, May, I feel like that is around the time that she puts out her, maybe even June. Follow her on Instagram if you're interested in doing an Advent with her, because I feel like they're starting to kind of come up. This is the fingering weight Advent, and I really like how it's turning out. I was concerned about the armholes / how it was fitting. I think it's okay now. I actually picked up and knit a repeat on each side and then started more because I felt like it was turning out okay. I think I'm just going to continue picking it up here and there. I definitely think that, absence makes the heart grow fonder. Oh, my puppy is having a dream, so he's wagging his tail. Anyway, the saying absence makes the heart grow fonder. I do think that after having set it down and then I picked it up to knit on it just last night or a couple of nights ago, after I had finished this, and I was like, oh, this is actually kind of pleasant. So I was kind of feeling frustrated with it, but I think just having set it aside and come back to it was the right call, and I'm feeling better about it. But yeah, so let me go try this on for you. Okay. So this is my Ferda Genser, and I was having an issue with the sleeve. And I will say that if I were to make this again, which I don't actually think I will do, but if I were to make this again, I probably would have started the yoke sooner. I think that would kind of help some of the issues that I'm having. I will say that I'm knitting the third size, and I actually, because I was noticing that the yoke was starting to feel kind of out of hand, that I actually stopped a repeat early. So I think, and I'm trying to remember this because it's been a little while now, I think there's like this diamond, and that's like one repeat. So I only did like a half a diamond and stopped, and then split for sleeves because I was feeling like this was getting to be too long of a yoke, which it still kind of is, but I do think that once the sleeves are done and the body is done, which I don't know if I'm done with the body or if I'm going to do a little bit more. I'm not really sure how I'm feeling. I think I'm going to finish the sleeve and see how that goes, and then try to figure that out. I do like it a lot. I think it's a really pretty color. I do think that it has, like, it's a fun sweater, but I don't know. I was thinking the other day that, okay, I don't think I'll ever do an all over colorwork sweater again, and I think that that's not necessarily true. I think I wouldn't do the same pattern again, like, but it's just triangles, because there's not enough like excitement other than switching your colors for me that makes it like you want to finish a row, want to finish like what you're doing. So I think if I were to do this again, I would definitely, well, I wouldn't do this one again. I'm not recommending the pattern, but I don't think I would just knit another one. But I do think that I will knit another all over colorwork, but maybe one that has like different motifs as you go. This is the Ferda Genser. I have made some progress. I am like proud of what I have accomplished on it. But again, it is just one of those, I want to get it done and I want to knit something else. So I'm probably going to try to really work on this, but I also may get distracted, which we'll talk about in a minute. Also, real quickly, I had someone reach out to me and they wanted to see the floats. So they're not perfect. I certainly have some problems, but I do think the sweater is absolutely gorgeous with the floats. Like, I actually almost like this better than the triangles. But this is the floats, showing off my... when I started the sweater, I thought, oh, I'm gonna weave in my ends every time I get to another color. That has not happened. I have seen people like braid or do something. I don't know if that will show through, so I probably won't do that, but yeah, that's gonna be a whole project in and of itself. So anyway, those are the floats. I did make a mistake here where I think I grabbed the other color. I didn't grab that. And I think what I might do is just cut it and weave in the end just so that it's not like a loose string. But other than that, I think it looks nice. What do you think? Yeah. So I know that there are patterns where you wear the sweater inside out or wear it differently. This one would definitely be cute. I do like it a lot. But anyways, those are my floats. I feel like I'm showing you like dirty laundry or something. I don't know. Anyway, so there it is. I wanted to show you that real quickly. All right, so I wanted to show my newest cast on. So last episode, I was talking about perhaps casting on the Birds of a Feather shawl by Andrea Mowry to participate in her March to May knit along. She's also known as DreaReneeKnits on Instagram, Ravelry, and I believe also YouTube, and I will link because she has an awesome podcast if you haven't seen it already. But I am using Hue Loco's colorway Sizzle. This is on her spun sock base. It has a lot of like fuchsia and purple and blue in it. And then I am using the colorway, there we go, Soiree, and this is by Magpie Fibers in their feather base. So those are the two colors together. They're looking weird in this light, but I think they are kind of weird. When I first was going to cast this on, in my mind, I don't think I had the yarns together, like before I talked about it. And the colors do match. Like this color is in this cake, but in my mind, I think I thought it leaned more red than purple. It's okay, but I think it's just different than I was thinking. So I'm having a hard time embracing it and being excited about it. So the funny thing about the Birds of a Feather shawl, at least to me, maybe because I think I'm 12 sometimes, is trying to find the front. When you first start knitting it, it looks like you're knitting a thong. It is like a teeny tiny V, and then it kind of continues to look like a bigger thong. So this is how far I've gotten in the last few days. It is such a fun pattern to knit. There's a lot of garter stitch. There's a few lace sections. The feather and fan on this is really pretty. I'm like extra fond of this pattern because I am a former flight attendant, and I don't know, the saying birds of a feather flock together, I think is always like, is something I've always like associated with that. So it is fun knitting this. I'm really enjoying it. It's going by much faster than I think the first time I knit it. And I think that is mostly because I understand how the pattern is progressing and what's happening next. And I think before, sometimes, especially with shawls, I have a hard time picturing like where we're going with this. I think in the past when I was knitting this, I wasn't sure like, what is this? Where are we going? Like what's happening next? How is this going to be a shawl shape? Because in my mind, I was thinking like this was the shawl, I think, instead of it being this way. So this is actually one side. You knit and increase stitches, and then you decrease stitches, and you make a triangular shawl, but it goes this way. And as you're going, the spine kind of comes up. So it makes that shape. But I do think sometimes the shawl, like how it's laid out, is really confusing to me. I've knit a bunch of Andrea's patterns. I knit the shift cowl, and that too, it's knit on the bias, I believe it is how you would refer to it. And that also like played with my mind because I couldn't figure out like, where am I in this pattern? Like what part am I knitting? Like for some reason, it took me a long time, and I've knit a couple now. And it was just the first one where I was like, I don't know where I am in this pattern. Like, is this here? Is it like, where am I? So I don't know. Like, I don't know how to wrap my head around it, but I love how it turns out. So follow the pattern because they know what they're doing. Anyway, that's my birds of a feather shawl. And I think this has kind of become my primary project at the moment. I feel like I'll finish it quickly. I say this now, but I might get distracted. Let me tell you about my distractions. Okay, so I have a shipment from Knitting for Olive on its way here. I think it might have gotten stuck in customs, so we'll see how long it takes. But I ordered some pure silk yarn from them. I really like Knitting for Olive brand in general. It is run, I believe, by a mother and daughter, like family team. And they take a lot of care in making sure that they can trace where their yarn is coming from. So their pure silk yarn is not harming the butterflies, probably silkworms. It's not harming them. They're waiting until they have left their cocoon to collect whatever. So I do know that they have traceable to all of their farms, and I just think they're a great company. They have done definitely fundraisers for various things happening in the world, and I like them. So highly recommend. My novice sweater was made with Knitting for Olive in its entirety. I just really, really love them. And they come in cute little pillows. I'll put a pillow probably here. Okay, so what am I going to do with this yarn? Great question. I have no idea. But I have a lot of ideas. I haven't chosen anything yet. I think I'm going to wait till I have the yarn in my hand to decide. But I have a lot of patterns that I would like to show you and talk about. So one of them, basically I saved these in my queue so that I could show them to you. So what I would probably do with the Knitting for Olive pure silk is perhaps knit a Cumulus Tee. I love the Cumulus Tee. I think that they are really beautiful. I love how it has a V-neck. It has kind of longer sleeves, and I just like how it looks. The pattern was recommending the pure silk, so that's how it kind of came up on my radar. The next pattern is the Outline Tee. So this is the Outline Tee by Jessie Maed Designs. I really, really like it. It has this really pretty drop stitch detail in the front and along the neckline. It's also a V-neck. I feel like I'm being drawn towards a V-neck shape, and I think it's really pretty. The next one I had never seen before. It came out last year. It's called the Lidia Tee, and it has this really cute, this time the V-neck, or the V is in the back, and it has this really cute shoulder detail that I really love. I think that might be really fun. And I also saw someone knit, I think the back was too open for this person, and so they knit almost like an I-cord across the back where they could tie it, or I don't know if it was tied or it was just attached, but I thought that was really pretty as well. The next pattern that I really, really liked was very cute, is the Anna tee. And this one is really, really cute. It does remind me kind of the late 90s like baby tees shape. And I typically do wear shirts that are less fitted. Like all of my shirts are less fitted. So this one I thought was cute, but whether or not I would actually knit it is a whole other story. So the next one is the Moonset Tee by Ozetta. I think this would be really, really, really pretty in a black, or the color I'm getting is coal. And I really like this neck detail. It has kind of, I don't remember what you would call this, but I really do think it's pretty, and it's definitely kind of a more modest t-shirt with the V coming up much higher than some of the other ones. And then here's the other thing that kind of threw me. So I was thinking I'm definitely gonna do one of those tees, but then the other day, Midori, Hirose, posted on her Instagram that she had knit her White Mountains sweater in a lace weight yarn. So I think she did the whole thing in mohair, and then for the cuff, she did 3 strands of mohair together, and then she did like an I-cord edging. So she took this particular pattern, and which is like a DK or maybe even a worsted weight. I think it's worsted weight. A worsted weight sweater pattern, and just knit it in a lighter yarn. And so it's going to be much more summery. And then that kind of got me to thinking that you can really do that with many patterns. And so I like that idea, and I really, really, really want a White Mountain sweater. I don't know if I want a thin one like that or not, but that gave me an idea that I have been wanting to cast on, the Keep It Warm sweater. And this might be cool in a lighter weight yarn, especially with the front detail. I really think that could be cool in lighter yarn with that lace. So that is kind of what I'm thinking when I get my Knitting for Olive order. But again, I am not sure, and I don't know. So if you have any short sleeve patterns or tank top patterns, probably short like a tee style, or anything that I didn't mention, please leave that in the comments below, because I would like to have cast on something by the next episode. The other amazing thing that I'm super excited for, and I don't have yarn yet for, one of my friends is pregnant, and I'm very excited for her. I'm excited for her. And I'm also excited for me because I get to knit a little sister romper. It is by Petite Knit. I'm going to insert a photo. And it's very, very cute. I've knit, I think, 5 or 6. I actually believe it is like my most knit pattern that I have used. It's called the Little Sister's Romper because it is a lighter fabric. She is having her child in August or September, and so it's going to be pretty warm in Portland. So I'm probably going to make this on the smaller side so that they can wear it then. The cool thing about this pattern too is if you make it larger and it's a winter baby, they can always put like tights on the baby, or kind of use it as an over garment, if you will. So I'm very excited to make that. I think I will make a little sister romper for her, and maybe even a beginner bunny, like together the same color. I think would be really cute. So I am looking for yarn for that. I have, I believe, used Katia, the cotton cashmere yarn, but I might look around and see what else is out there. I believe it uses a sport weight or a fingering weight yarn, and I really, really do think that it is absolutely one of the most fun patterns to knit. First off, it's so tiny. They're cute and tiny. And secondly, it's just like quick. you're either increasing, decreasing, or knitting in the round for kind of a short period of time. And they're so adorable. They're the cutest tiny thing. So I'm excited to cast that on soon. I do have a lot of time. I feel like it takes me a couple of weeks or a week or so for those, but I don't want to wait until like August. I would like to have it done and like given to her way before then. All right, so in the last 2 weeks, I have a lot to catch you up with, kind of. I will insert a picture of the crazy balloons that we made for my son. We do this every year. He picked lime green and blue. It was crazy blowing them up. I always think it's not going to take as long as it does, and it always takes me like an hour and a half to 2 hours, even with my husband's help, to get it done. It just is one of those things. And then it's very satisfying to rip them all down and pop them at the end, which we normally wait like a week or so. So we did that for my son's birthday. We took him to go and have like a miniature lesson on horses, and then they get to ride them. So him and my other son both participated. And they basically taught them about like horsemanship, how you would care for a horse. And then they got to ride this very old cute horse around a covered area, which was really nice. It was a beautiful day. It actually didn't rain on us, thankfully. It was really nice. And I think they enjoyed it. My youngest son did not realize how large horses were at first, because when we were on our way, he kept saying, I'm going to pick one up. I'm going to be able to pick one up. And I was like, oh, I don't think you're going to. We all enjoyed it. It was super fun seeing them excited and playing with animals. I feel like horses are such magical creatures, and they really, really had a good time. Otherwise, we had our anniversary, got to spend some time together, and then we kind of jumped into the week. We had a crazy week of just school, like kids' school and all kinds of things. So we've been just doing that. We're preparing to have a shed made in our backyard. And so that takes some time, just preparing the area for that and getting that ready. And also, I have been watching Love is Blind. I finished it. I am a little surprised on who got married. So if you've been watching that and you have some thoughts, let me know. And then other than that, I've just been listening to podcasts. My very favorite podcast is back from a break. It's called Normal Gossip, and they talk about a little gossip story. They share it with their guests, and they kind of discuss it. But it is so good. I highly recommend it. It's super fun to listen to while you're knitting if you run out of my episodes. Otherwise, yeah, I will see you guys in 2 weeks. If I missed again a tee that you love the pattern, please drop it below, because I would like to check it out. And of course, I did not mention the millions of amazing patterns, but those are just the ones that are currently kind of on my mind. I could be swayed. There could be a new pattern before the next podcast or before I get this yarn, and that could be the one. So who knows? I do know that there's definitely some fun summer ones, I think, that I've seen people doing test calls for. So I know that there's going to be some great patterns coming up. Other than that, that's it. I make these videos every 2 weeks. So if you have made it this far, please make sure you give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed. I, again, make these every 2 weeks. And then I sprinkle in other videos about knitting. So it could be about knitting needles. I have a video on finding yarn for less, which I will add here. And thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful day. Happy knitting.